Okay, we are back, and we're going to start our discussion on self perception. Now, like I say, in a couple of weeks, you're going to do your self perception speech, and what your self perception speech is a speech where you will tell us what it is that you want us to know about, and we'll go over the outline here a little bit. But I always do a discussion about um, self perception because it's so important as far as not just being able to give a speech, but just as being able to communicate effectively. When we talk about self perception, we're talking about how you see yourself, how you see yourself. It is a process that you go through to develop the kind of self perception that you want to have of you. It's what you want to present to the world. And so I always spend time talking about it because it's so important. And again, this discussion will not be in your book. Your book does not do this, but again, it is so important that I spend time doing it. Let me just kind of go through when we talk about self perception. We're talking about how you see yourself, what kind of person you believe you are. The goal is to develop and maintain a positive self image, because a positive self image will make you a more effective communicator. If you are confident in your ability to share and receive information, the more effective you are in creating meaning. And I'm just going to read through it one more time. Self perception, how you see yourself, what kind of person you believe you are. The goal is to develop and maintain a positive self image, because a positive self image will make you a more effective communicator. If you are confident in your ability to share and receive information, the more effective you are in creating meaning. Okay. Now, my discussion is going to involve three different areas. Okay. And in your notes, put this under communication and self development. In your notes, put down communication and self development. Okay. There are three areas that we'll talk about. The first is what we call communication with family members. Communication with family members. When we talk about communication with family members, What we're saying here, the way you were communicated to, the way you were communicated to, as well as how you were allowed to communicate as a child has helped to shape your self perception. It helps to shape your foundation. Now, a lot of times people don't think about communication being able to do, but that's what it does. The way you were communicated to, as well as how you were allowed to communicate as a child, has helped to shape your self perception. It helps to shape your foundation. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some things, and all of these things are for you to think about. As you're going through it, as we're going through it, this is a time for self-analysis, for you to kind of get a sense and understanding about how you see yourself. How do you see yourself, and what role communication with your family played in that? Okay, and it's going to take some self-analysis. And the thing I want to always make clear is you may have a very good, very positive self-perception, a very positive self-image. And that's wonderful. That's great. And we just want you to continue to develop that, because again, it's not just to develop it, it's to maintain it as well. Okay. But this is what we call these family communication considerations. Family communications considerations. And just a series of questions that I like to put out for you to think about. The first one is, what kind of conversations took place in your household? What kind of conversations took place in your household? Was your household the kind of place where people spoke to each other respectfully, calmly, people listened? Or was it one where there was a lot of yelling or chaos, or people not paying attention to each other? Again, it makes a difference. It can make a difference in how you see yourself. I had a student one time tell me that she grew up in a family where there was a lot of chaos. People didn't listen to each other. They talked over each other. There was a lot of yelling, a lot of blaming, and that kind of thing. And she said she made a concerted effort to make sure that when she was raising her children, the household would not communicate that way, that there would be respectful and honest and open communication instead of a bunch of yelling. So it makes a difference. It can make a difference in how you see yourself. Second question. Uh, did your family talk at the dinner table, or was it quiet? Did your family talk at the dinner table, or was it quiet? Again, every family is different. Everybody does it their own way. But in some families, dinner time is the time that everybody gets together and goes over what happened that day and what's going to happen tomorrow and all of that good stuff. But in other families, dinner time is the time to eat. And we're not going to sit here do a whole lot of talking. We're going to eat. So again, these are just questions for you to think about. Number three, were you told about family business? Were you told about family business? And when I say family business, I always put that in quotes because what I'm talking about here is the situations that would happen in a family. Somebody getting divorced, somebody getting arrested, somebody losing their job, those kinds of things that go on in a family. Were you privy to that kind of information? Was that information shared, or if you questioned something, did you get a response, or were you told that this is grown folk business? So, mind your business. Don't you concern yourself with this. Again, you say, well, it's a little thing. Maybe I shouldn't have been asking or whatever. But again, if your family took the time to explain family business to you, uh, think about how that might make you feel and how you might see yourself. Another question was your family history openly shared? Was your family history openly shared? I believe that it is important that we let young folk, our young kids coming up, know about their family history, uh, the good and the bad. Let them know about everything that's going on in your family. Because what it does is it gives them a perspective, it gives them something to go on. You may have people in your family that have done some outstanding things, that are very, community minded people who have done things to help a lot of other people. And so it's important that the youngsters coming up understand some of that, understand the history of their family so that they can maybe see themselves in those kinds of positions or whatnot. But you also have to tell the whole story too. And you have to tell about that uncle who maybe got in trouble with the law, so that again a child has a chance to see all sides of it, and again allow them to determine how they want to be. Another family communication consideration: did you receive positive messages about you? Did you receive positive messages about you? This is so important for young kids coming up, that we give them as many positive messages as possible, because again it can help shape how they see themselves. uh, you all, just about everybody, I shouldn't assume everybody, but just about everybody knows that, if you got a little 4 or 5 year old who has done a drawing, coloring drawing in class, and they're proud of that thing and they bring it home. And one of the first things that a lot of parents will do is they'll put it on the refrigerator, okay, as an indicator, that your work is good enough to be on our refrigerator. And again, it sounds like a little thing that doesn't, make a whole lot of difference, but it does. Because what you tell a child when you do something like that, you tell them that they matter, that what they do matters, that there is a worthiness to them. Okay, and a lot of times those kinds of positive messages, they stick with you till you're way grown. I mean, till you're way grown. And I'm going to tell you, I'm way grown, and I have got things that I remember, positive messages that people have told me when I was real young. So those kinds of things stick with you, and they can help to shape how you see yourself. Uh, Another family communication consideration: what do you listen to? And this is always important. That if people listen to you, that kind of signals to you that maybe, you know, I'm worthy to be listened to. You know, uh, people don't ignore you, but they listen to what you have to say, especially as a little kid. That kind of stuff can kind of help shape how you see yourself. And then a final family communication consideration is: were you allowed to express yourself? Were you allowed to be you? Uh, Determine, uh, what friends you hung out with. Determine what events you were able to go to. Did your parents give you that kind of opportunity and leeway? And again, I'm saying within reason. How you wanted to maybe dress or portray yourself, whatever it might be. What kind of support did you get from your family and from your parents as far as that was concerned, as far as you expressing yourself? Again, those kinds of things make a difference in how you see yourself. So those are, again, what I call uh, family communications considerations, and again, things that you need to think about for yourself. The second point that we talk about under communication and self-development is communication with peers. Communication with peers. When we talk about peers, we're talking about your coworkers, your classmates, your friends, people that you're in clubs with, that kind of thing. Peers. And what we know is that as you interact and communicate with your peers, you learn things about yourself that you use to develop your self image. As you interact with your peers, you learn things about yourself that you use to develop your self image. So, as you're interacting with coworkers or friends, it's a way for you to see, what kinds of commonalities you have. What things do you think are something that you need to be involved in versus things that you don't think you ought to be involved in? Or maybe you have a particular position about something that maybe your friends don't, and you didn't know that until you had some kind of engagement. And so, a lot of times your friends may be in favor of doing this or doing that. And as you engage with them, you'll figure out, no, that's not who I am. That's not part of me, not part of my self-image. But you learn those kinds of things. You learn what kinds of things are important to you that maybe aren't so important to other people. Okay? And vice versa. Things that may be real important to a coworker, that's really not that important to you. And so, again, as you learn to do that, as you learn to engage, you learn about things that you use to shape your self perception, to say, no, this is who I am, this is what I'm about, and I'm not about this. Okay. So that one becomes, again, real important. And that's why it's so important to communicate outside, with other people, so that you can kind of get a sense of how the people see things, think about things, and then You can do a comparison and say, that's good. Yeah, that's good. I agree with that. That is part of how I think, or what I would do in that kind of situation. And then the last uh, level that we talk about is communication with society. Communication with society. And when we say communicating with society, what we're saying is what values, goals, judgments, rules, roles, ROLES, and perspectives of your community do you internalize? What values, goals, judgments, rules, roles, and perspectives of your community do you internalize? Okay. You will hear some people call this the perspective of the generalized other. The perspective of the generalized other. What this means is that society has puts out a lot of messages about how society thinks you should be, where you should live, where you should go to school, how you should dress, what kind of car you should buy, where you should eat, who you should think you should support, who you think you shouldn't support. We are bombarded constantly with societal messages trying to get us to believe one way or the other, or to do things one way or the other. And so, what you as an individual, when we're talking about communication and self development, you as an individual, you have to determine, does that stuff matter to you? Are you a person who pays a lot of attention to those messages of society, or are you your own person? I don't necessarily say a rebel, but someone who kind of does things the way that you want to do. Again, not harming anybody else or putting anybody else in danger or anything like that, but you want to do, and not necessarily what society expects you to do or says that you should do. Again, I think you can see, or I hope you can see, how that shapes how you see yourself, your self perception. Okay. So again, that's important, that you be able to look and decide, who are you, who are you going to be. I always use the example about, talk about people who buy into what society says. And one of the biggest things I think is with the iPhone. And as soon as Apple says they're coming out with a new iPhone, there are people who just say, I have to have it. Even if it costs $1,500, I have to have it. Not because their phone that they have now doesn't work, but they have to be part of society, what society says is the cool or newest thing to do. So again, those are the kinds of things that you have to consider and think about when it comes to society. So As you analyze who you are and how you want to be seen, always consider your communication with your family, your communication with peers, and communication with society. Okay? Now, one thing that we always talk about here is how do we get better? So this is what we're going to talk about next. How to improve your self-perception. How to improve your self-perception. The first thing is simply make a firm commitment to change. Make a firm commitment to change. What that means is if you want to be more, you know that you can be more, then you have to commit to it. It may not be real easy, but you have to commit yourself to, yes, I want to be more. I can be more. You have to make a firm commitment. But beyond that, then, you got to have the will to do it. Okay? A lot of times people are committed to doing better. They know they can be better. But when it comes time to do it, whatever the work that is necessary to be better, a lot of times people don't have the will to change. So it's good to be committed, but then you have to have the will to change. You also have to develop the skills that will allow you to change and be who you want to be. That's why you're in school, to develop those skills. That's why you're always trying to learn, to develop those skills that are going to allow you to be who you want to be. It's so important to gain knowledge. And when I talk about gaining knowledge, I'm talking about from all situations. You have to gain knowledge, not only, like I say, with your family history, that kind of thing, not only with your peers and whatnot, but again, with society. You have to pay attention to all of it. You have to gain as much knowledge as you can. Because it's real. I always quote, I always say, the more you know, the more you grow. The more opportunity you have for growth, the more you know about things. Okay. It's important to set realistic goals and then have realistic expectations. It's important to have goals. You definitely have to have goals, but they can't be so broad that it makes it difficult to achieve. Now, some people say, well, that's the challenge, make it hard. So that may be okay, but maybe not at the beginning. Maybe it's important to make your goals a little bit more realistic, a little bit more simplistic, so that you can achieve it easier. And then what happens is when you have that achievement, you have that success, that pushes you to do even more. But what I've seen is that sometimes a student will push themselves. They haven't been in school for 15 years, and they come back and they want to take a full load. You know, they want to take 15 credit hours. Well, that you might, wish you could do that. But if you've been gone out of the system for 15 years and then want to come back and think how that you can have a lot of success trying to pull, 15 credit hours, that's going to be difficult. So maybe it's better to just start off and do a couple of classes, get the system under your belt again. See how things have changed in 15 years. Get those two classes done and have that success. Then now I can take on more. So make sure the goals are realistic, and then you have the realistic expectations. Yeah, every class that I take at the beginning, those first two classes, maybe they won't be A's, but I can have that goal of doing the best I can, try to get A's, but understand that realistically, I may not do it. Don't let that be something that stops you, prohibits you. Yeah? Accept the fact that enhancing your self perception is a process. And remember what we said about process last week, steps that we take. Accept the fact that enhancing your self perception is a process and it doesn't happen overnight. You have to be patient. You can be what you want to be. You can be better. You can be. But you have to understand that there are steps that you have to go through. It doesn't happen overnight. Think about any performer or anybody that you think is successful, and none of them will tell you that they got to where they are overnight. There were steps that they had to take, okay, to get to be who they are or what they wanted to be or to be better, okay? And so it becomes real important that you are patient with yourself. We're patient with everybody else. We're patient with our family and our kids and our teachers and our bosses and our coworkers. We're patient with everybody else except ourselves. We have to learn to be patient about what we do. Understand you will get to where you want to go. It's going to take some work, but that's okay. Be patient. You have to surround yourself with people that are going to help you get better. Again, a lot of times that's why people are back in school. They want to be around like-minded people who are going to be supportive. One of the worst things is for a person trying to improve themselves, knowing that they can be better, but they don't have people around them that are supportive. That can be difficult. That can be hard. But try to find people who can support you in your endeavor to be better. And sometimes creating that context for change, sometimes that means cutting old friends loose. Now, I know a lot of people say, well, I don't want to do that. I would never do that. But you got to make sure people aren't pulling you down. You want to move. You know that you can move and that you can ascend. And so you don't want people pulling on your ankle keeping you down. And sometimes you just have to let them go. And the argument I always use is, well, look, I have to do what I need to do to get better. And if I get better, then I can help you get better. You know, I can, the better I am, the better we all can be. Okay. And then the final thing is never engage in self sabotage. Never engage in self sabotage. Self sabotage is a lot of negative self talk and self thought, negative self thought. It's where you don't believe that you deserve, or you believe you are not worthy, or you believe you shouldn't have. That's all self sabotage. I always call it shooting yourself in the foot. And you have to, again, as an effective communicator, and that's what we're all trying to be, you have to make sure that you don't fall into any of that. Trust me, there are enough people out there that will go after you if you're trying to improve yourself and trying to be better and trying to be the person you want to become. There'll be people out there who will take shots at you, okay? Don't you be a person that shoots yourself, okay? People want to be negative about things, let them. But you stay positive. You don't bring yourself down. Don't let anybody tell you you're not worthy or you shouldn't have or you don't deserve. Now, yes, be honest, okay? Understand your shortcomings. Understand that you don't do everything the right way, but never accept that you shouldn't have, that you're not worthy. Don't ever buy into any kind of talk like that. Okay? Never. Right? Okay. So that's the discussion on self perception and developing a positive self image.